Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. This is an interview that we have been scheduling for a couple of weeks. It is one that I promise is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of value. We have the one and only, and yes, better half of Mr. Lumberjack. We have Ashley, Mrs. Lumberjack. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. The audience is going to love this. Why don't you introduce yourself to the world and we'll just get into it.
Well, my name is Ashley. I am Matt's wife. We have been married for 14 years now. So together longer than that, but married 14 years. I am the one that now handles like more of the back office stuff. But yes, I am the half that may have dragged my feet into housing.
Yes.
I dragged my feet into housing, and maybe I'm the one that has the better stories on mess ups and how to overcome them.
Oh, this is going to be awesome. So again, you and Matt have been together. You've known each other for how long?
Oh, let's see. Okay. We met when I was 20. Okay. So we've known each other for 16 years. We've been together a little over 15 and a half. So almost 16 years.
Almost 16 years. So quite a while. Yeah. So and Matt always shares with us, right? He made some life choices early in life, such as the high school dropout, which is obviously not a surprise to you. Yes. I'm always curious, it's obviously not a topic of conversation, probably on the first date or whatnot, but no. Tell us about the Lumberjack pre-marriage. I mean, was he just a playboy? Was he always about money? What was he like?
So Matt is an interesting guy. So we met at church.
Okay.
So we met at church. I was directing the choir. He surprisingly.
Yeah, he has shared with us. He's got a pretty good range, he has told me.
Yeah, he does. So when I met him, he was kind of helping like volunteer with the youth group, which I was doing as well. Wow. And so we kind of started to get to know each other friends wise that way. And there was a rumor that he was a playboy, but it turned out it was totally made up by somebody who.
He made it up.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I wish that would be awesome. No,
he started the rumor all by himself.
No, he didn't. No, he was actually a really awesome guy. Really, honestly, awesome. He was not a playboy. He didn't have time for it. He was so into work. Like that man, he basically woke up, worked.
Right.
And then, so the volunteer hours that I saw him was the only free time that he ever did. I come to find out when we started dating, he was like, oh yeah. He's like, this is the spot in my office. His office chair was worn down because he goes, I wake up, I go to work. He goes, I sleep about 4 hours, then I wake up and I do it again. And I was floored, but yeah. So he was pretty well established by the time that we met. He had already had a great sales career. Okay. So I was the newbie. I had nothing. I was 20 and immature and inexperienced in the world.
Oh, come on now. All right. So, so when you met him, he was already in sales.
Yes.
Did he already have I guess he had already, if I remember the story right, he's probably already house hacked once or twice at that point.
So yeah, he had a few properties. I think he was in his first house hack.
Okay.
I think we were in the first house hack. But he had 2 other investment properties
right
before that.
Okay.
So
all right.
So with 2 that we had that he actually hadn't lived in. So this was the first one.
Very cool. And then you get married, and I'm always curious about how that conversation goes. A lot of people, when they get married, they're just like, I'm not going to house hack. That's just not for me. You during the relationship, he was probably already talking about real estate. Mm-hmm. What did you think about it? Was it like, hey, you go pay monopoly over there by yourself, we're going to do this and have kids over here? Or where were you kind of at the very beginning when this all is starting to happen?
So I didn't realize, I think, the full scale of what it could be or what he was thinking it was going to be.
Okay.
I know we had a couple properties. He was going to want to add maybe a couple more, but I wasn't thinking it was going to be, we're going to keep adding to infinity.
Nice.
So there was that, but when we first started, he did have a single family home that I thought we were going to move into.
Aha.
And I was planning the single family home.
Got it.
In my lovely now 21-year-old mind, like, this is exactly, oh yeah, we're doing that.
Oh, yes.
And he said, okay, I'm gonna put that home up and this and the house hacking home up for rent on, and whatever one rents out first, we're moving to the other one. And I was like, okay, fine, sure. Of course, the single family home.
Of course.
And I was like, oh, the other one wasn't renovated. It wasn't like anything. And I was like, I don't want to live in that one.
It's dirty.
Like, that's not the one I thought. But
that's awesome.
But alas, here we were. And it was further away from everything, but it turned out being really wonderful for us. But so again, I also didn't think it was going to be this big snowball thing. So the next time he had me look at a property, I about lost my mind. And I just didn't handle it very well. And I had no vision, no clue what properties could be. So it was.
Well, let's talk about that a little more. So you're married by this point.
Married.
Okay. So you're married, you've been house hacking a little bit. So you kind of get it. You understand rent. It's still new. It's still.
Yeah.
And then Matt, the lumberjack, he finds another deal and he asks you to go check it out. It sounds like he found a diamond in the rough. It sounds like. And
so like I said, the house that we were in was further away. Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted to be closer back to my family.
Sure.
And I was going to be going into nursing school and such. And so we need to be a little bit closer to where all that was. Okay. So Matt finds this house and he tells me, he goes and looks at it with the broker earlier in the day. Great. And he says, this is awesome. We'll absolutely be able to do this and be able to afford it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, great. I'll go. He goes, I just need you to look at it before you go to choir practice. I was like, fine. Sounds great.
Awesome.
I walk in with our real estate agent, just started bawling.
Oh,
just
no.
Full on. I'm walking through the house just crying because it's the oldest kitchen and it was, of course, a foreclosure. So it was dirty.
Yeah.
And
that film.
Yes. And like, I don't even know what that kind of linoleum is. And the carpet, obviously not salvageable, but I'm thinking we're going to live in it like this. And it smells like cats. And it smells so bad like cats. And as we're walking through, the walls are funny. Like who would do a floor plan like this? And in my mind, I have no vision for this. I am thinking, he's going to move me into it like this. And I can't live in this. And like, I am crying and I'm trying so hard to hold it together, but I'm crying. And you can see our real estate agent's like,
Matt,
because he had bought houses with Matt before. So he knows.
He knew what he was looking for. Yeah.
And here's the new wife that's like, and as I'm walking away, you can see Ross is like locking the door and looking. And he said, don't worry, Ross, Matt will be sending you an offer. I'm gonna go. I'm like, don't worry, this means nothing. Yeah. And got in my car and he did send an offer and we did buy that house and we did move into it. But I realized that we didn't have to move into it like that.
There you go. So I want to kind of walk that forward. So so again, you had a little experience, you paying the bills, you got a couple of units. So this must have been like what, 2007, 8?
2008.
Okay. Yeah. 2008 foreclosure time. Everything's on sale, but it's all ugly, dirty, yucky.
So gross.
So gross. Yeah. I bought a lot of those. So gross. Okay. So you lock it up, you get it. So I'm just curious. So you get to the car, you say goodbye to the agent. Do you go to chiropractor? Do you have a cell phone and call Matt and go, what the hell are you doing? I mean, what?
No.
What?
I totally just was like, yeah, I walked the house and Matt's like, what'd you think? And I'm like, it's so gross. And I was like, it's so gross. I can't believe it. And he goes, and I said, and it reeks like cats. And he goes, babe, that's the smell of money.
Oh, I love it.
And so now anytime we smell cats, he goes, what's that smell? It's a smell of money.
Like, yeah, I have
wants cats.
Yes,
and he goes, and he was like, do you think that we're going to move into it just like that? And I'm like, I think so.
Yeah, you did it to me before.
And I was like, I think so. And he was like, know. He's like, I think that we have some stuff in the budget. We'll like take care of a little of this before we move in.
Okay.
And I found out through that project that you can rearrange walls to make a nice floor plan, and you can take out cruddy carpet and put down new carpet,
and you can paint walls, and
you can paint walls, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this isn't the worst.
This is so bad.
And in our area in New England, we have these old houses.
Sure.
When you take up the carpet, there's these beautiful floors underneath.
Wow.
And so it just takes a nice little shine into there, like these gorgeous things. So you walk in and it smells like cats, but then you pull it all out and there's something beautiful underneath. And
very cool.
Now I know.
Now you get it. So, okay. So I'm curious. So let's go back to this house. So you write an offer, you lock it up, you get it.
Yes.
How long between, or do you, if you don't remember, it's okay, but how long before, after you closed, did you move in? Like 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks? I have no idea.
Probably even less than that, because we closed. Unfortunately, I think our closing got delayed, I think. And we had a tenant moving into where we were.
Oh.
So we had to, one of our friends down the street from this house had an apartment building, and he had a vacant apartment. And we had to basically we had twice. We had put everything in storage. We had like 5 pairs of clothes between us, and I think an air mattress. It might have just been our mattress, but no box spring or anything in their living room. There was, the gas was off. So we had just electric there. So it was like winter, it was freezing. And so we like rush to get as much done as we could to make it livable.
Okay.
But we didn't have a kitchen. And we didn't have a bathroom. So we had a toilet. Okay. And we could wash our hands.
There you go.
And that was it. So we got really stinky, and then we'd like run back down to the other apartment and like wash up real quick in our friend's shower, because it was at our friend's house at that point. He had rented out the upstairs. And so, so we did that. And then I would say over the next few weeks, then we got our kitchen and stuff.
So as someone who's kind of not on board yet, or at least not understanding the grand vision, kind of beginning to end in that process, would you call that a good process? Communication? What would you tell another couple, right? Because there are lots of couples who are in different places.
Yes.
Either one. We're not going to say man or woman, they're just in different spots.
Yes.
They find a vision, they find a house, they want a house hack, they want to, do all these things.
Yes.
But they're in different spots. So clearly this one worked out. You at least got comfortable. You got the kitchen you wanted, right? After some time, or kind of wanted, right? Yeah. Not the ugly one.
Right.
What were some words of wisdom that you I don't know, maybe what would you tell Matt as he's buying it to maybe tell you, so it's not such emotional? Matt
did a great job. Matt really
Come on, stop it.
No, I have to give him a ton of credit. I really, really do. Matt is a great vision caster.
Okay.
And so I think for me, it took years. I wouldn't even say with this house, it was this house. It took me multiple houses to get on board. Okay. I still kind of went begrudgingly into this thinking like, well, it gets me into the area, whatever, but I wasn't 100% on board. It took not the house. It took probably like 3 more houses for me to really understand, oh, you can take something that's not pretty and make it beautiful.
Got it.
But also, even if it's not like the most beautiful thing, this is what it's giving us financially. Right. And it took time to get into it. But really what Matt did each time we went to buy a house, or each time we went into it, I was always the one that was like, I don't think I like this house. I don't think I just got nervous just because I didn't fully understand. And he just kept casting the vision, just saying, he kept saying, this is what it's going to do for us in retirement. This is what it's going to give for us this month. This is what it's going to add to our bottom line. He's like, and he just kept speaking it. And when he kept casting the vision, or he would take me and we would we didn't have a whole lot of money, but every once in a while we get like a slushie from somewhere for like 69 cents and awesome. And he would drive me around the area, and he would pick out the properties he saw on like Zillow or wherever, where he had done his homework. And he'd say, this house couple years ago but was sold for this, they are now selling their house for this, and they did only this amount of work. I could see from back then to here. And then he would drive me and he would say, you know, in this house just sold for this amount, in this house, and he would show his homework. And he would, and it was a fun thing that we were doing. So I was having fun, but he was casting the vision and saying, you know, you can have this house that from this many years down the road, and it will be this. Nice. Or, you know, we could have bought this house and rented it out, and this is how much we would have had a month, you know, and he kept showing me how all the numbers in his head. And then it just started catching on fire. By the time we were buying a couple, me dragging a little bit, but with that, and then him continually speaking the vision to me, it was like, oh, I think this would be great for us. Like, yes, I would like to retire and have some great things. That sounds delightful.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Like awesome. Like, so I don't have to slave at a W-2 job to make like nothing in retirement. Like we could have a good one. Gotcha.
Score. Oh, I love this. So again, there's so much in that. I just want to kind of summarize so others hear it. One is Matt and I always talk about doing the work, right? Doing the work, daily discipline. You probably heard us say that 100 times. Yes. But what needs to be shared here is Matt was able to share his homework, as you called it, with you as you were driving around. Yes. Right. So that does two things. First off, for the person doing the homework, you really know your stuff when you can tell someone else. Mm-hmm. Right. When you can go, hey, 123 Main Street, it was this, now it's this. This is what they did. Right. Yeah. That's sharing your homework with others, such as their significant other or a very good friend, really allows you to cement what you know. Yes. And then when you do it over and over, and you can kind of be that vision caster, as you say, and bring that person on board, he didn't force it. He wasn't like, Rrr. He's like, honey, this is where we're going. This is what it means. And then you did it again, and then you did it again. And by the third or fourth time, you're like, I know what you're doing. Right. Yes. Okay. Yep. And I would say, by like the third or fourth time, I would look in, I'd be like, well, I don't really like that house, but I'm like, I know he can like, and so I stopped looking at the actual house, because I know for some people, they are more visual. Like they actually see the house as a beauty thing or something that they would live in, or they would want to like be a part of. And I stopped having to do that because it was all about the numbers. And then I switched to the numbers. And so then I just asked him, I'm like, okay, well, what's the bottom line? What are we looking at here? What are we going to look out? I'm like, what are we going to have out of pocket? How much stress is this going to cause in our bank account? Oh, not much. Oh, great. Thumbs up. What are we going to do? And then, so I stopped it, like the switch flipped. Mm-hmm. And then I was able to be about the numbers. And now I don't even like walk the properties with him anymore. He's just like, I saw this building and this is the bottom line. I'm like, fantastic. And so great. Tell me where to sign. He signed the PNS, and I go to the closing and I say, which one is this? And no, it's the pink one. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No. And so, and I just know that he's a great designer. Is he? He can sing and he can design. Oh, he's got layers. Lumberjack is a designer. I do nothing. I pick out nothing. He asked my opinion on a couple houses, and then we quickly realized I'm not the designer in this family. I'm not the one. So he just does it all. He picks everything, and he's really good at it. Awesome. Wow. Lumberjack can sing and he's a designer. I love this. Yeah. I love this interview. So as you got there, now let's say you're there, you get it, you got the vision, you keep moving forward. When did you start? I don't want this to sound bad, but when did you start picking up some of the work, or the taking things off his plate, maybe? Because it sounds like he was doing a lot of that in the beginning. Right. So I would say when we got into marriage, we agreed that we knew we weren't going to bring in equal income, because he had a really hefty W-2. We were going to have equal sacrifice. Okay. So that was what we guaranteed we were going to do, is equal sacrifice. And I quickly realized that I disliked my W-2 job when we got married. It was a peon job. I wanted to go to nursing school. And so I needed to sacrifice something. I needed to be invested in our family in some way while I was doing nursing school, because he had
basically the full-time properties and his W-2 job.
Mhm.
So then I started taking on like little things where he taught me to paint, and I would paint all our units. And, you know, so
Wow.
I was like, okay, I'll become the painter. And then I started becoming the phone call girl that, you know, when we needed quotes or whatever, I
Sure.
would just spend the morning and I'd call around and I'd, you know,
Yeah.
get some
Get a
quotes.
couple of quotes. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, or certain things like that, or I need you to touch base with so and so. And he's still really good on the phone, hence why he had a great sales career. So
Yeah.
some of the things he still does, like, you know, he's just better at it. But I can call Eversource,
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, I can call our electrical company. That's who our electrical company is, you know. So I started doing that. And then he started teaching me like minor electrical, minor plumbing, and I started learning how to do some of these minor like property works. And then I can, you know, I can restart a heating system now. So I started doing more and more as, you know, I wasn't working, and his job was growing, and his need to do the homework kind of was growing a little bit,
Sure.
you know, and I kind of was like, all right. And then I got skills, and then it just kind of like, now I'm in it because I have skills.
Yeah, you got skills. He has told me a couple of stories. He says you can bleed an oil furnace.
I can. I'm actually going to go do it when I'm done here.
I don't even know what an oil furnace is. We don't have those in California, I don't think.
Well, welcome to New England. It's oil furnace. Like, welcome to New England. It's oil furnace. Yes, when somebody runs out of fuel, there gets a little air in the line, and so you have to bleed all the air out of the line so that the furnace can ignite. So you just bleed the line, and now I'm really good at it. I smell like gas afterwards, but I'm good.
Yeah, nobody lights a cigarette near Ashley.
Yeah.
For a few
No,
minutes.
I just have to like scrub. Like I have we have now all the gadgets and all the things, but I'm really,
yeah.
And it's not hard, but I am good at it.
There you go. And again, you picked up things. You were painting and doing odds and ends. You were chipping in. So
I was a horrid painter, but then Matt taught me some tricks, and now I'm really good painter. I just don't. It's just not as, I think now we have also a good painter, but I can paint with the best of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. So again, you picked up valuable, like everyththing that you did, you didn't pay someone else, right?
Correct.
Right. That helped the bottom line.
And that was the thing. Yes, I was adding, and especially in those early years, we had hardly, we just had no extra income, we had no, everything was so tight. We were really close to broke. You know, and the market crashed, and so this is why it was this way. It was a really tough, and we were working really hard, so we didn't have a ton left, and we really couldn't afford to pay anybody. So it's like, if I didn't do it, Matt was going to have to do it. So what was I going to do? Sit on the couch, eat bonbons, and then say, "Oh yes, you work very hard. Now go do this." Like, no,
awesome.
I'm a good, capable person, and I was able to do.
Nice.
Learn some skills.
He tells us, actually, I'm going to ask you it this way to see if you have the same answer. He talked about, in the hard times when you had the no money, almost broke, he talks about the treat that you guys would go do once a week.
Like the dollar menu?
Yes. Yes. That's a true story. I like it.
Yes. The dollar menu for McDonald's. The other thing,
I hope people are hearing this.
There is
awesome.
Like a gas station, like Cumberland Farms. I don't know if it's national or just around us, but they have like the 69-cent slushies, and you can get like a slice of pizza for $1. So we could do dinner there, like get a hot dog and a slushie for like less than $5 between the two of us, and we're like, is it gross? Probably.
It's probably not something you want to do forever.
Probably, but it was a treat then. We didn't have it. It was fun, and became our tradition. It became our thing for every week.
It was a date night. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'd go drive around our town and look at properties and different things. And I miss those times now that we have kids and we don't do them.
Yeah, you were in it together.
We were in it together, and we built it together. And I think it created a bond and a teamwork between us. We've sacrificed a lot. And so I think our early years, our early marriage, a lot was spent in our properties. As you know, we self-manage. So a lot of time was spent in our properties, our weekends in our properties, Labor Day in our properties, Memorial Day in our properties. You know, we didn't really do weekend things. We would wake up, go to Home Depot, get what we need to do, go do the projects that we need to do. And, you know, I remember one Valentine's Day, it had snowed so much here, and a few of our roofs were like really bogged down. So here I am climbing up on the roof, shoveling off the roof on Valentine's Day, and Matt's on the bottom, like shoveling it off the decks. So we're like got this shovel system going. And I think I might have yelled to a couple of our streets, like, I will not feel bad when I'm traveling in my retirement. And you can all be mad at me, but I don't care. Like, I did it now. Like, I'm working hard now. Like,
That
so
is awesome.
yeah. So, I mean, the beginning years, you know, we just were in it together a lot, and it really built this teamwork. And the great thing that he did for me is that he got me invested. So I would say that not only did he share a vision with me that got me on board, but he got me into the properties, doing the work that way. Yeah. And now when I go into that building, I am connected to that building, and I say, like, I did that faucet.
I did that. Yeah.
Doesn't that faucet look good? It was leaking everywhere. And look at this. I did that. You know, like that toilet was leaking. I can change a wax ring. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You can now use that toilet.
Yeah, because of me.
Because of me. And yes, I'm a girl, and you looked at me funny when I showed up, but I'm good at it. You know.
There you go. I love that. All right, so now let's fast forward a little bit. Things got pretty good, right? Almost 100 units now.
Yeah.
Having a good year, adding more units this year than in 2021 than any other year.
He went gangbusters.
He did, didn't he? How is it now?
Now, obviously, I'm not doing as much physically in the properties.
That's okay. Just so you know, that's okay. You do have a couple of kids, you know.
Yes, we have 3, and you know, one I'm kind of dealing with a lot now. So I don't do as much physically in the properties, but I do still do all our locks. So any building or any tenant changeover, I do our locks. So, you know, good at that. But I do now more of the back office stuff. Like I do a lot of our accounting and help keeping our, you know, bills. And now I actually can do the bills, you know, really well.
Nice.
Much better. So that's that. And it's a different pace. You get to like all of a sudden the snowball effect.
Right.
And you realize like, oh, I'm not going to the dollar menu anymore once a week. Now we are, I don't know. I think, let's just say that we had bought used cars for almost our whole marriage. And then when we got a car with a car payment, I was like, we have a car payment. And can we do this? And then it's like, oh, yeah, we can.
We can do that. Not a problem.
And it wasn't even like this crazy car. It's a minivan for my kids. But like, I was like, oh, we can do this. Oh, okay. And then you start seeing a little bit more. And so now it's like, I don't want to say it's easy because that's not the word. It's still a lot of work, and you still have to be invested in.
But you're not on the dollar menu. There is a reward.
There is a reward, and
I think people need to hear that.
Yeah, but I also would say the pendulum has swung where you start realizing that maybe you start spending in other areas. Like we were going out to eat quite a bit. And like, so like we didn't do the run. We were going out to eat quite a bit. And I realized, oh, I stopped working like my W-2 job, and we can rein it. Just because we can afford it doesn't mean we need to. We can actually put those dollars towards other things or save them. So I started cooking dollar meals again, and like now I'm better at it.
Nice. I love this. So again, one of the things I think people should take from this again is when you're in it, sometimes you don't feel the snowball, because we were the same way, right? We got to some number, and then I remember I was on the road. And I remember we bought a house, and I'm like, how did we pay for that? Like the repairs, right? It was the same time frame, right? We bought dumps, we would, you know, and I'm like, I don't remember moving, because we had different accounts. I'm like, I don't remember moving money from my W-2 to that account. Who paid for that?
Yeah.
But she's like, the cash flow from the units. I'm like, really? That was an ugly unit. You paid for the whole thing?
Yeah, we had we just bought one, I think, and Matt was like, oh, just go get the check. And I was like, oh, like we can do it out of the more this property.
Yeah, over here. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, there's that. That's great. And then now, when I, pay the bills, I used to run them all by Matt. We would go through all of them and, go through. Yeah. And now he's just like, yeah, just write the check. I'm like, yeah, but it's all of these ones, which are the big ones. And he was, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, oh,
different. Very cool. Awesome. There you go. So I understand there's a story about electricity. You were going to do something with electrical that Matt said I should ask you. What happened? Did you short a breaker or something?
I wish.
Oh no, there's something more.
I wish it was I shorted a breaker. So one of the things that Matt was teaching me to paint, he was teaching me how to change outlets because a lot of them are just those gross almond color. We want a bright white. Of course. But why do I pay an electrician when we have no money to just fiddle wires when I can do that? Okay. Well, he didn't really tell me about flipping off breakers to change electricity. So here I am with the screwdriver and it's like zing. And I'm like, ah! And I get electrocuted a couple times. I'm like, what is happening?
You touched the red wire. Oh no.
Yeah. And I got zinged a few times and I'm like, I hate this. And he's like, always check your breaker. And he's like, off. Yeah. And he goes, always shut off your breakers. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So
it's a lot easier doing the breakers off.
Totally. Funny story.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Honey, you should have told me that ahead of time.
Yeah. And I thought that was at first I was like, why didn't you tell me? But it's one of those, he knew it wasn't going to hurt. But at least now if I'm dealing with electricity, I am very conscientious of our breakers. And that's the first thing I go to. An attendant calls me and they're like, I don't have blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, did you check your breaker? Is your breaker I don't know. I just am so now I'm fully into it. But yeah, I got zinged a couple times in that room and then I learned.
Yeah, that's awesome. This has been so much fun. So again, we're thinking about couples getting into this, one being ahead of the other, vision, sharing. I love that driving around, kind of showing your homework. Yeah. Then he pulls you in to take on more and more tasks. Yeah. Now you're in it together. The empire is building and building. Yes. What's the empire look? I don't know, in a couple of years. What do you have? Do you have vision? Do you two have vision? Do you have visions? What's coming?
Yeah. So I would say that our joint vision is hopefully Matt can be out of his W-2 job. Mm-hmm.
So, I hear that's next year is what I keep hearing.
Yes, yes. So hopefully he'll be out of his W-2 job. I think that's there is a number that we have that if we can get to this amount in rents a month, I think then he can step back from that job. And so that's our plan. So I think that is that. And then just continuing to, I think, as he says, continuing to buy great deals.
There you go.
I don't think we have a number of we want to buy this amount a year or whatever, but when the good deals come up, when the great deals come up, you really can't pass them up, which is why he keeps buying them right now. No, he's sharing them with me all the time, so it's fun to see the work paying off, right? Yes.
And the great deals coming in unit counts. I think the 12 units is one of the buildings that either just closed or in escrow or something.
Yep. Yeah. 12 units. So now my spreadsheet is getting mighty long.
And awesome.
My rent roll is getting mighty long. It takes me a lot longer to put things in now. I'm just I think the other day I was doing the rents and I was like, oh my gosh, I think we've bought a few properties since then. I was like, what did we buy? I was like, okay. I was like, go through, and we had to update everything. And I was like, am I missing anything? And then that thought was weird when I had to ask him, did I miss any of the ones that we bought? I'm like, oh geez, we are going.
Yeah, you're buying a few. Yeah.
We bought a few, but I mean, but it's good. So I would say that we're just going to continue just along our trek. But the main thing is hopefully he's back from his W-2 and he can kind of be doing the homework in the property, looking at properties mostly full time.
So as we wrap this up, we are lucky enough to talk to the lumberjack a couple of times a week on this channel, which I treasure. We have a good time. I don't know if you can hear us laughing, but we're laughing all the time. What are a couple of things that you would want to tell Matt, through this video? or yeah, let's start there. What do you want to tell him? Because I'm guessing he's going to watch this.
Okay. Well, first I always go into the sappy thing because that's how I am.
It's okay.
But I am insanely proud to be his wife. I am insanely proud to be lucky enough to be his wife. He is an amazing man, both personally and business-wise. He's just fantastic. And he has handled my shortcomings because I was a very, very young 21, 22-year-old when we got married. And he was a very mature, almost 30-year-old. And he handled my growing process so well. And like, he really taught me everything. He really helped me become who I am today. He worked hard, his butt off to give me a profession in nursing and pay my tuition so I could do what I love. And he's just fantastic. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for the opportunity and for the life that we live in, that he makes being a dad look effortless along with this. He's pretty awesome. And I would also say, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Let's roll this.
There you go.
Taking me to Australia before I die.
I like it. I've been to Australia a couple of times. You were going to Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. Where are we going?
I don't care. I want to tour it all. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm going to Australia and possibly New Zealand too before I die.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Very, very cool. So again, this has been so much fun for me. I hope you had a good time. I appreciate you. You have wonderful kids. We get to see them a couple of times a week sometimes. So
I love it.
Yeah. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thanks so much.
Yep.
It was great.
Yep.